E360 TV proudly presents Messages of Inspirational Stories TV show. Live streaming now to millions of devices around the world on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, YouTube Live, Facebook live streaming. Our shows are available video on demand on these channels. And we broadcast daily, Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on these channels. On Mondays, Expanding Your Business. Tuesdays, Natural Health and Wellness. On Wednesdays, we cover mentoring our youth. And on Thursdays, our new show, Ideas Worth Knowing. And on Fridays, Women in Leadership. To be able to watch our television show on your favorite device, please go to e360tv.com and download the app for your favorite device. Brought to you by our producers and hosts, Jim Grant and Donna Guinois. Along with our hosts, Beata Severin Reed and Emerson Brantley. Supported by our admin team of Michaela Vidal and Gaia Guinois Balconi Hueda.
Well, hello. There you are.
You thought I was going to sneak out the back door and leave you hanging here, didn't you? How are you doing today, Emerson?
I'm doing pretty good, Jim. It's good to see you there.
It's good to be seen while I'm here, brother. Let me tell you what. Ladies and gentlemen, our show is proudly brought to you today by the good guys at the 6minutewebinar.com. If you watched Monday's show, I did a complete walkthrough of the 6-minute webinar. There are 36 questions. Now, Don McGrath created the app ScriptPal. Don't go looking for it on Google Play or anything like that because it's not available to the public. This is proprietary for the 6-minute webinar. 36 questions that you ask, or that you're asked, you give bullet comments to the point. Like, what do you do? I help people lose weight. That's all you need to say if you have a weight loss program or something of that nature. And we went through the whole 36 questions. I'd answered them previously, so it didn't take up all the TV time. And then I shared how that script pile, when it converts to the 6-minute webinar, exactly how all those answers came together. And we just had a wonderful time. So if you missed that, you can catch it on our channel. Let me put our, well, first of all, we are sponsored by the 6-minute webinar, and I'm just falling apart here, Emerson. I tell you, this cheap glue in the ear doesn't work too well. But you can go to, this is a very simple website it's a domain name that we own.
mytvshow.live.
Yep, there you go. And that will automatically redirect you rather than remembering messages of inspirational stories.live. And I tell you, it's just really amazing how, you can go there, you can see those episodes that's been uploaded there from Facebook. You can also visit us on our YouTube channel. Now, to see the latest shows, when you go to our YouTube channel, just click on live. And I'm looking for our YouTube channel. I know we got it up here. Oh, well, let's see. Is that it? Yeah. It's just Messages of Inspirational Stories TV show. I may convert that over to mytvshow.live, or my TV show live or whatever, to make it simple and easy. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think for Facebook, I think it's good to leave it as Messages of Inspirational Stories. That way, people looking it up, they know they can look for the name of the show. They know
there you go,
show, and that makes it nice and easy. If they're going to go in and try to type in an actual URL, an actual website, then instead my TV show, that's easier for them.
Yeah, it really is. And ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about something that just happened. I don't know if you folks realize this or not, but today we got to share planet Earth with over 8
8
billion. Go ahead.
billion people.
So, Emerson, what does 8 billion people have to do with mentoring our youth today, my man? I'll let you start out there.
Well, first of all, when Jim and I talked about this, what we don't want to do is to get into the upsides, downsides, and everything else of what it means to have 8 billion people. I mean, if we go back not that far, Jim, if we go back like even to the beginning of the last century, there were only about 2 billion people in the world. Go back 100 years, there are about 1 billion people in the world, and now we're sitting at 8. We just passed 8 here a few months ago.
Yeah.
And that's according to the cover that you just showed, National Geographic, and that's from April of this year, of 2023. And if you are able to go online or to your library or however, it's a good article to read because it really is a wake up to just how fast everything is growing. And there are upsides and there are downsides. There are countries where birth rates are dropping, and the U.S. is one of those countries. There are countries where the birth rate is increasing. Anytime you're under about a 2%, that's not 2%, but 2 births per person, per woman, basically. Anytime you're below that, your population starts to decrease. If you have an aging population, and we all know the story of China that a few years back had the one-child policy. Well, China now has a very aging population. They don't have enough people working at enough jobs to fund what's needed there. India, on the other hand, is within the next 15 or 20 years will probably become the largest country in the world by population. This isn't political, folks. This is just math. This is numbers. This is looking at what does it mean when you've got billions of people in the world. And today we're talking about mentoring youth. And this is where Jim and I connected on this. I said, Jim, our young people are the ones who are going to be spending their lives living with this information.
They certainly will.
It's good to have a few shows here talking about what does it mean having 8 billion people. And one of the first things, and Jim knows this from me, but from our conversations together, but one of the first things is you're not competing against 8 billion people.
That's right.
That's a big, big message. You are unique. You have certain talents and skills. You see things a certain way. You have certain abilities. And there is nobody in the universe, nobody in the world that is exactly the same as you. And this isn't some real good, feel good kind of stuff here. Genetically, DNA, in your heritage, in your education, in the way you process thoughts, in your ability to an interest in math or science or art or whatever, you are unique in all the universe. So today's show is about, all right, 8 billion people. What are the possibilities there?
There certainly are a lot of opportunities, a lot of new friends to make. How about that? Emerson owned a website that I subscribe to called Interesting Facts. I found they sent this out. I don't know when it was actually on their website, but 5 fascinating facts about twins. And I clicked on that since we were going to be talking about this today. And the world today has the most twins it's ever had. That kind of makes sense. We got a lot more people, billions of more people, so naturally we should have more twins. But what they found interestingly is that some of the most unique relationships that between having a twin is that twins being born a twin is very rare, relatively rare, I should say, in the United States. Just 3.2% of all births are twins.
Well, and if you consider that a lot of those are because of in vitro fertilization, it really is even more rare worldwide.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And what's really amazing, in a 2021 survey of 165 countries, they found that, which is about 99% of the world's population, they found that 1 in 42 babies born today is a twin. 1 in 42. That equates to 12 twins being born out of 1,000 pregnancies.
Wow.
Yeah, and that number is up from back in the 1980s when it was just 9 sets of twins that were born to every 1,000 pregnancies. And scientists, they added all up and they said there is 1.6 million twins born every year. And one of the unique things about twins, I never really had thought about this till I read it. Only 1 in 3 sets of twins are identical. Okay? The remaining 2/3 are considered fraternal. But what's really interesting, not a single one of these twins have identical fingerprints.
That's true.
I had never really thought that much about it.
Even though their DNA, when you put them together, their DNA is basically identical.
Yes, it is. Yes,
that's pretty amazing.
It really is.
Jim,
go ahead.
I worked with the John and Greg Rice, who are the world's smallest twins, at 29 inches high. And they were from Palm Beach, Florida, which is right near where Mike Lewis lives.
Mike Lewis.
We've had Mike. In fact, we're going to have Mike. The show tomorrow. Ideas worth knowing. In fact, let me click on that just a second for everybody.
Okay.
But he lives right there in the same basic area as John and Greg Rice live, and traveling with them was really interesting. Twins have some very interesting connections with each other. They feel things that the other one is feeling, and I can experience firsthand. I can attest to this. All the way across the country, saying something's happening with my brother. I need to give him a call. It's pretty amazing, but the connection that's there is it's not a single one of them would say they're two halves of the same person. But there's an element of it where they experience things even when they're not together and connect. Twins are pretty amazing.
Yeah, they really are.
There's so much to learn there that we don't know.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sharing a little bit more about this article, ladies and gentlemen, about twins. They talk about the patterns of our fingertips, whether we're twins or not. The patterns of our fingertips develop when we're in the uterus, when we're in the side of our moms. And it is really determined by the blood pressure, the length of the umbilical cord, and how fast as a fetus we grow. All of these factors imprint the final fingerprint that we come up with. And because identical twins share the same DNA that Emerson mentioned, it's likely their fingerprints may be a little similar, but they are never been a set of duplicate fingerprints during the history of the world. There's no two people ever, even if they got all the matching marks, like including twins, no one has ever had the same fingerprint. That just goes to show you how unique you are in this massive world of 8 people. Like you say, when you see your thumbprint, just think of it like this: you are a body. Thumb body. Your thumb body. Yeah, that's a little. I heard someone say that one time, and I had to repeat that. Your thumb body. Yeah, it's a little country English there on that thumb body. But anyway,
But
That's really
Jim,
hmm?
no, it's a fun way to say it, but you really, a lot of times, especially for young people, it's easy to kind of get lost in the shuffle and to not feel
Hmm.
that you're anything special or that you
Oh
have,
yeah.
you're just, or the other side of it, wanting to try to be like everyone else. That's the
Ooh,
other
yeah.
side of I'm not special, but wanting to be like everyone else. And if there's one thing in growth that it takes time sometimes to learn. Some people learn it sooner than
Hmm.
others. You are unique in all the universe. You have some really weird, quirky little characteristics, and you have some that are amazing. And when
Hmm.
you think about something, recognize that the thoughts that you're having and the way that you look at it and the way you perceive it and the way you process it,
Hmm.
there's nobody else in the universe quite like you.
That's exactly right. It
And
just
that's
goes to show
that's
you,
that's key.
yeah, it just goes to show you how special you are, how specially created you are. And it really bothers me because I have a good rapport with a young lady. She's 14 years of age, and I'm related to her by marriage. And and I talked to her, and I shared with her some of my experiences growing up in school. Some of the people that I thought was really important in my life. After graduation, I've only seen the number of times I've seen them, you can count on one hand, even I'm 74 years of age. And that's usually at school reunions because everybody scatters to the far blue yonder. They go to different colleges, some go into service, some go into work, some
It's
move,
true.
whatever. That's just the way the world turns. So my
It's
point
true.
point being in sharing that with her was simply that don't let the peer pressure of people that's in your life today try and shape you, try to, warp you. That's a good word because they will try to warp you. If they laugh at you, let them because they're demonstrating how ignorant and undereducated they really are. Because 5 years down the road, you won't even see, you won't even know where these people are, you know? And that's just everybody that's went through school and grown up became an adult. We all understand that. But when you're 14 or 15 or 16, you can't see that far. And I understand that.
You have to
And
trust it.
yeah, you just
Trust
have to
trust
trust it.
that. And there's some of you out there who may be watching this, or parents who have children who are struggling with different issues, or different
Hmm.
identity issues, or how they think, or what groups
Peer
they're in,
pressure.
or how they're being rejected, or
Hmm.
any of these things. Recognize that value. Now, I'm going to shift this over for a second, Jim.
Okay.
Folks, in marketing with companies, okay, and Jim can attest to this. In marketing with companies, one of the main things that I try to help business owners, entrepreneurs to understand is you don't need to make it clear how much you're like somebody else. You don't even need to make it clear that you're better than somebody else. When you make your uniqueness clear, you
Mm.
will attract the people who want you.
Mm.
You will attract the people who you want to work with.
Yeah.
And for all of you out there, it's a challenging thing, and especially, and I'm speaking, Jim, especially to the adolescents, young
Hmm.
adults
Yeah.
who may be tuning into this
Oh
at some
yeah.
point. You know, it's challenging. There's a lot of peer pressure.
Hmm.
Guess what? A lot of that challenging stuff continues on. The thing that we have to do is to recognize in our head,
Hmm.
wait a minute, you know what? It really doesn't matter.
Hmm.
That's really, it can be hard.
Hmm.
It can be hard because there are people that sometimes we want to have that acceptance and we're getting rejection.
Yeah.
But when we recognize most of the time that rejection has to do with their own feelings about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And when we recognize that the value that we bring that they may be rejecting is exactly the value that somebody else is looking for.
Mm-hmm.
There are
Absolutely.
8 billion people in this world today.
Mm-hmm.
In Jim and in the training that where Jim and I met, one of the things that I shared was, you know what? Even Coca-Cola can't please 8 billion people.
They can't even
Kentucky
supply.
Fried Chicken can't. McDonald's can't. Walmart can't sell to all 8 billion people.
Yeah.
Nobody can please
Mm-mm.
and appeal to 8 billion people. So
You're exactly.
what I share with people, and I shared this with Jim. Jim, you love to tell this story, so I'm going to let you tell it from your perspective about what's the purpose of your marketing, because you do it so well.
True story. Very first time I met Emerson in Largo, Florida at Speaking Empire, Emerson walks out on stage. He's got this pirate's hat on. You got your pirate's hat on? You can look at that for a
I
little
don't
bit.
have it here with me.
Anyway, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at, we had just walked in, ladies and gentlemen. It was 8:30 in the morning. I just sat down at this table, had a cup of coffee, and I think I've taken one or maybe two sips out of it. And Emerson's up there, and he talks about, let me ask you a question. What is the first thing you want to do with your marketing? Jim. And I look at him, because I think he picked on me because I was looking at my coffee cup or something. And
no, you just look so distinguished, Jim.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, if you say so, I won't argue with you about that. But he said, Jim, and I looked at him and I said, and I'm trying to think of something intelligent because I'm in this U-shaped room with the tables U-shaped in a U formation.
You're about 20, 25 people there. In the room.
And they didn't know me and I didn't know them. So naturally, I was hoping I could, twist the Rolodex of my mind.
All of these are business owners, and they're from
and pull up an intelligent card. Yeah.
States.
Yeah. And pull up an intelligent card to read. And I said, to attract everyone you can. Emerson says, no, you want to repel everyone that you can. And I looked around, everybody's looking at me, and I said, well, I guess it's obvious I need this course. I never will forget that because he said, he went right into saying, you cannot service everybody that may see your ad. What you want to do, you want to attract people that are like-minded to you and people that want to do business with you, or words to that effect. That was basically your comment there.
Yeah.
And from then
that's
on,
important.
Yeah.
That's important. This isn't about being a jerk. This isn't about being a bully. This isn't about being rude to people. This isn't about anything like that. It's in your Oriental cultures, they have a thing called yin and yang, which most people have seen the symbol, the yin and the yang. And the way that I use it is to describe it. There's a law of attraction that we have, but the balance to that is this law of repulsion.
Yes.
So if you are true to yourself, and when we do our ideas worth knowing show, we'll talk more from a business perspective. True to your business, true to your career, attracting like-minded people. There's got to be a balance where you're repelling the people that are not like-minded.
Amen.
And the reason is because if you don't, you get out of balance.
Absolutely.
And the example that I like to use, Jim, and some of the people who are watching, you may have gone through a speed dating or some type of a dating app or program. The thing is, you have to be willing in a dating app or speed dating or some type of thing like that to make a decision if a person is a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean they're a bad person.
Mm-mm.
But if there's not a connection there
Mm-hmm.
with you,
Amen.
there are too many other people. And how much time do you waste with the person that is not that fit?
Yeah.
And trusting that there are a lot of people. And as we started out this show, there are 8 billion people in the world.
Mm-hmm. Emerson, I've heard about speed dating and all that. And I can be honest with you. I mean, I never was invited to attend a speed dating thing. And I don't know if you have or not. Should I be mad or not?
No, somebody was just their speed was faster.
They were up to speed and I wasn't. But that's okay. But ladies and gentlemen, what?
No, I never. To answer your question, I never did a speed dating, but I did it's called a speed networking.
Yes, I've done that. Yeah,
I've done that where you have in business, you might have. I've been in rooms of 50, 60 people, and you line up chairs on one side and chairs on the other side, and each one of you have, a minute or 2 minutes or whatever the number is, and you're able to let them know who you are, let them know why you're there, what you do, what makes you unique, what's different, and is there may be a way you can work together, and then the other person has their minute or 2 minutes.
Yeah, and away
you have to make those decisions, though.
Yeah, I've done those, and those are really good because right away you can feel whether or not there's a connection.
Oh, yeah.
Because whenever you I look at business ventures being like a potluck dinner. Everybody focuses on their special dish and what they bring to the party. And if that person is wanting to participate with you in that type of capacity, as far as this is what I can bring, but this is what I can bring, and it enhances both of you, that's a good connection. And you can also tell when people are looking at you like, what can you do for me? That's not a good connection. Yeah, and that happens. Now, I also like to say this about business. Emerson mentioned earlier about setting yourself differently. And we always like to remind people that facts tell, but stories sell.
True.
And I like to use the analogy of, let's say, ABC company. You're shopping online. You know exactly the kind of product you want, the model, make, the price, everything. And ABC company has that product, and they've got it for the price that you're willing to pay. And then you look at XYZ company, they have the same product, and everything's identical. Maybe the price is identical. It might be $2 or $3 higher, no big deal. But you notice that XYZ company has a statement there that a portion of every sale will be donated to the St. Jude's Hospital. Now, question, how does that make you feel? If you have a connection with that they are benevolent, and you like to be able to buy from them, even though you may pay a few bucks higher, it's not a big deal, but you know that a portion of those proceeds are going to go help some family, the children and the families of those children at St. Jude's Hospital. It allows you an opportunity to become involved and be part of that business. Mm-hmm. Because if a person comes to those two identical sites and they're only interested in price, they're not a good connection for the XYZ company.
No.
Because the next time XYZ has a product for sale and they look for it, they're going to be shopping price.
Yeah.
They find that DEF has a better price, they're gone. Because there's no connection there. Go ahead, sir.
And there's nothing wrong with shopping for price, but here's the thing. When people buy based on price, mm-hmm. there's no loyalty. There's
Amen.
No relationship. They're happy they got a great price.
Mm-hmm.
But the next time they'd buy from someone else. Why? Because they don't have a relationship. Mm-hmm. There's no connection there. Mm-hmm. They got a transaction.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of businesses, that's all they focus on is a transaction. But when think about this, when you feel that connection with a business, and we can turn that around and say, when you feel the connection with an individual you're talking with, you're networking with, you're in classes with, or whatever. But when you have that connection with that business, now that solves a multitude of ills, because we're all going to screw up one time or another, right?
Oh yeah.
Right. Some of us more than others, but when you have a connection, there's a higher reason, there's a bigger reason, there's a more important reason than whether or not it's $1 less, or whether or not, golly, they said they were going to have it on Tuesday and I didn't get here till Wednesday. There's a bigger purpose in there.
Yes.
And that's where loyalty comes in. That's where referrals come from.
Yeah.
That's where long-term relationships of mutually beneficial value come in. And that business has an attitude towards you that's different too. Their value of you is higher than just how much your last credit card statement bill was.
I'm glad you said that, because a person shopping price will never refer you, very rarely at least, because of the fact that they're just looking for price. And if they have a good friend is looking for the same thing for price, they may refer them because on price, but there's no commitment. Right. But if they have a relationship with you, they will refer you. Now, how does this really apply to the youth today? What are we saying about all these things that applies to young people today?
Well, here's the thing. And we've kind of said it a lot of different ways. Yes, there are 8 billion people in the world now, officially. Well, you're 1 in 8 billion. That's kind of daunting. It's like you're a grain of sand on the beach. What makes you unique and different? And what does it mean for there to be 8 billion people? Well, first of all, what it means is you don't have to impress or please or, the 8 billion people, they're going to be there whether you do anything to please them or not. Your thinking and your abilities, your unique, in marketing we refer to your unique value proposition. What is it that makes you unique, and how can you address that, whether you're working in a company, whether you have an idea and you want to start a company, whether you're wanting to go for a career in a particular direction. What are the things that you're able to bring to that table that nobody else can? And I have a real serious long-term, I've never been able to prove this wrong, and I can't imagine I ever will. If you have, how many of us have had some great idea? Wow, they ought to make this XYZ. You have some wonderful, incredible idea. And I'll tell you one of mine. I've had many, and I'm sure you have too, Jim. A cooler that you could plug into the cigarette lighter of a car and not have to dump ice in it every 3 hours. I thought, wow, that would be a great idea. Long time ago, folks, long time ago. Now, about 5 years later, of course, like is often the story, we had this great idea. Somebody else came up with it, but it was my idea first. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. And I'm going to come back around to that in just a minute. About 5 years later, sure enough, I started seeing that product showing up in stores all over the place. Now, we have the ability here, Jim, for that to become a story of the great idea I had that somebody else used and I didn't get to, and blah, 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 blah. My approach to it is this. You know what? I had a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Somebody else took that great idea. They had the great idea too. There are other people with that great idea at the same time I had that great idea.
Mm.
They used it. What are the great ideas I have right now? And should I trust them? Should I invest in them? Should I follow them? Should I take them to their limit? Should I use that unique value that I have today? And it's not a sense of, oh, that was the big one that got away. Instead, that's a sense of, what's the big one I have right now?
Amen.
And trusting that. When you begin to trust that, you're trusting that unique value that you have, your unique insights, your unique understanding, the way that you think, the way you process information. And I encourage you, and this show is about mentoring our youth, but this is for those of you who aren't necessarily youths anymore, to trust that intuition, to trust where your mind is thinking, because you are unique in the universe. You're unique among 8 billion people on so many different levels.
Oh, yeah, you really are. And I remember when it was about 6, 7 years ago, I was in Orlando and at an event, and the person who was up on stage at that time was Les Brown.
Oh,
and I'm
standing. He's hungry. You got to be hungry.
Yeah.
Oh, Les Brown.
Les is a very tremendous speaker, very down to earth. Everybody loves Les that I know of. I mean, because they can relate to Les. He connects with people.
Oh, yeah.
And they understand, where he's coming from, because he shares real life stories with them. And he asked a question, and I know a lot of people have asked this question, but this was the first time I'd ever heard it. He said, "Where is the richest place on planet Earth?" And I'm standing over there and I'm thinking, I said, well, I know it's not the cotton and corn fields I grew up on in North Carolina. What we were rich in, people could not buy or steal, but but I was standing there and I was thinking, I don't know, Abu Dhabi. And he looked around and no one said anything. He says, ladies and gentlemen, the richest place on planet Earth is the cemetery or the graveyard. He says, there is where you'll find buried all of the dreams that were never dreamed. That is where you'll find all the books that were never written. There is where you will find all of the inventions that were never invented. And there's where you'll find all of the lives that were never fulfilled. Now, as a young person, the question I would like to ask you is, what kind of a person do you visualize that you would like to be as you get older? And probably one of the greatest YouTube videos, it's about 30 minutes long, 37, something like that, but it's really fantastic. And I'm going to put the website up here, or where you can find it at. It's called The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale.
Earl Nightingale.
Earl Nightingale was a tremendous speaker. He had that deep, gravelly voice. I met him when I was about 17 or 18.
You met Earl Nightingale?
Yes, sir, I did. Now, let me tell you the story on this. I was at the little Esso station back in those days. They had Esso, Enco, and Exxon or whatever. They had different names for the stations across different parts of the regions of the United States. And this car came in. It was a big, I think it was an Oldsmobile, and might have been a Buick. But anyway, it was, the radiator was smoking and all that. And DeWitt, the owner, he said, well, just pull it over and we'll let it cool off because that thing's a thumping and that radiator is pretty hot. And the guy got out and I recognized him, but the voice was the giveaway. He has a very distinct, gravelly voice. Now, I didn't know anything about Mr. Earl Nightingale, except he was on radio all over the place and, had his show. But anyway, what impressed me about him was his demeanor. And that is, he was going somewhere to meet somebody, and he certainly didn't plan on his car, the radiator overheating, but that thing was hot. It was not going to, he had to stop and he had to fix it. But what he did, and this is a lesson for young people, was that he did not lose self control. He walked calmly over to the phone, and I don't know if he made a collect call or whatever, but anyway, he placed a call. This is the old pay phones now. And he called whoever he was going to meet. He says, I've got some car trouble. My car's overheating. I'm here in Shelby. He says, I'm going to be late. He says, but I wanted to call and let you know. Now, the thing about that was that he was very calm. He did not let that situation beyond his control upset him, because that was something that he could not control. He didn't know it was going to happen. That's the way cars are. When they break down, they don't tell you, they just do it. Or when you have a flat tire, you got a flat tire. They just, they don't tell you, hey, today I'm going to have a flat tire. But he sat down and very calmly, he just, he made some notes, took a pad out and made some notes, and just made himself, he turned that dead time around to productive time. And I spoke to him a little bit, but he was more focused on what he was doing there. He was making some notes or whatever, so I didn't want to interrupt him. And so anyway, long story short, when things happen to you, you don't lose self-control.
Right.
Because that car overheating did not define who he was. He has said, hey, I'm going to call the person I'm supposed to meet. I'm going to give the person the reason why I'm going to be late. That's important. He said, my car is overheating and I'm going to be here for a while, and I will call and let you know when I get ready to go.
And there's no reflection personally on him.
Not at all. And the person who he called fully understood, and no problem or anything like that. But see, the point being, Earl gave him or her, whoever he was speaking to, a reason, not an excuse. And he wasn't negative about it either. He was just matter of fact. He says, I got car trouble. My car's overheating and I'm going to be late. And I will call and let you know when I'm back on the road again. That's it. Because those are the true facts.
The serenity prayer, Jim. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change.
Mm-hmm.
The courage to change the things I can.
Amen.
And watch this, the wisdom to know the difference.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
That was a great example of that in action.
Yeah, it really was, because and he's gonna, I don't want to spoil it for you, but the strangest secret, you young people, please go there and listen to the message, because he's going to say something, and I give you my word, I promise you, you're going to go, really? Then all I asked you to do, because Emerson knows what he's going to say, and all I asked you to do is have a childlike faith and believe in it.
Yeah.
Grasp it, because it's a principle in life. See, principles in life never change. Methods and techniques do. Good example is that people travel. For how many thousands of years do people travel by horse and buggy or horseback or ox-drawn cart or whatever? People travel today, but we don't normally travel by horses. We've got them things called them automobiles and trucks and things like that. But the principle, people still travel. The method and technique that we use today, because of technology, is changed. Now, the principles in life for you as a young person will never change. You need to love yourself. You need to learn the capacity to love others, even if you have to love them enough to let them go. And if someone rejects you, like Emerson said earlier, all they're doing is saying, I want to associate who I think I might be in the canyons of my mind with somebody that I want to be like. That is the wrong person for you to be associated with. Count your blessings. And I remember one time, it happened to me one time. I was devastated when the girl I loved forgot about me when I went in the army. It happens, you know. And I thought, oh man, here I was thinking I was going to live my life with her. And, you know, I didn't even get a Dear John. I was in Vietnam. She just quit writing. Mom always wrote you, but, you know, girlfriends, they are boyfriends, you know, they can forget about you, you know. And there was times over there that, you know, I had to put it out of my mind. I couldn't deal with it there because there was too many other things that was pressing. You couldn't have your mind back home and your carcass in Vietnam. Okay. Those two are not good combinations. But I look back now, and probably she can too. And both of us can probably say, thank God we didn't marry each other. And I'm being fair and I'm being honest because the lady in my life, Evelyn, we've been married since 1971. And I was looking at her the other day, just the way she is, the way she conducts her house, and the way that she lives her life. And I'm thinking, my goodness, how blessed I am. And I'm going to share one thing about her. She doesn't watch the show because she sees me enough during the day anyway. But there's been many, many, many times that she'll get a coupon in, and women like coupons, right? I used to hate coupons because she'd send me to the store, you know, do something when I come home from work and have the coupon, I put it in my pocket or something where and forget about it. Did you use a coupon? Oh, goodness gracious. No, I forgot, you know. But she will take the coupon, and I've seen her do this many, many, many times. She's going to go to the store to see if there's anything there she likes. And probably 85 to 90% of the time, she'll come home and she says, you know, I looked in there and I didn't really see anything that I like. So I walked over to the men's section and I thought, I bet Jim would like that. And she would use that coupon to buy me something. And I go like, wow, you know, I told her, I said, Elf, you ought to, you know, I didn't need that. I mean, you ought to spend it on you. She says, I didn't see anything I wanted, but she says, I wanted to buy this for you. And it just really touches me in my heart because, to be honest with you, Emerson, I got to say, why me, Lord? I mean, how did I wind up with a lady like that when I thought my world had come to an end when the other girl, you know, forgot about me? You know,
well, I have
mean,
to say, you know,
yeah, and you can say the same thing. I mean,
I can say the same thing. 6 weeks in ICU and 2 weeks in rehab.
Oh, yeah.
Every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Ann was in that hospital.
She was there.
And when I came out of ICU and started getting my memory back and you know,
he was in coma for 6 months, 6 weeks.
6 weeks. Oh yeah, I had no memory of that period.
Yeah.
All the nurses and doctors were talking about your wife was here every single day, every day. And it wasn't, she was here every single day. Boy, I tell you, we'll be glad when you leave. So we don't have, it wasn't that. She wasn't that. She was, but so many of the patients that they dealt with didn't have that person who was consistent, who was there, who it wasn't about her haranguing them and pressuring them. Right? It was about the fact that this person has somebody who cares. This person gets more of, as the doctor, as the nurse, this person just, they get more of my care and attention because I know there's somebody here who cares for them and who is there for them. And they may not even have somebody in their life like that, but they appreciate it. And I can't tell you, Jim, when I came out of it all, out of ICU and back in rehab, the number of times it was mentioned to me, and mentioned in a positive way, and mentioned
Right.
in a way that was admiring it, and wanting to make sure that I knew.
Mm.
They wanted to make sure I knew. And that is priceless. It's priceless.
Oh, yeah.
It is priceless.
Now, for you young folks out there, you might be saying, okay, Jim, we've heard your love story. We've heard Emerson. What does that have to do with me? I'll tell you what it has to do with you. You are worthy to have someone in your life who loves you, takes care of you, and is concerned about you.
And
Why?
appreciates you
Yes, you're
for all
worthy.
of your interest and your quirks and your little, all of that stuff that
Oh, yeah.
appreciates you.
Yeah, that's how valuable you are. It
Oh,
don't
yes.
it don't matter if it's 80 billion people on planet Earth. You're that special. You
What
have
Jim is saying is Evelyn is the only person out of 8 billion people
that would put up with me.
Well, you know what? Here, and I'm going to say this because Anne would say this if she were standing here. I'm lucky to have Anne, but you know what she would say? She's lucky to have me. And you know what? Evelyn would probably say, I'm lucky to have Jim. And it's that recognition.
Yeah.
When both of you have that recognition, and I'm going to come back to what we were talking about earlier. That recognition is about that uniqueness that you are. It's not about how much you are like everybody else. It's about that uniqueness in you.
Oh,
and
yeah.
When you make that connection, whether it's personally as a partner or in business with a customer or client, when you make those kinds of connections, those connections last.
Oh, yeah.
They last, and they're connections of value. They're mutual value. This isn't about needy kind of stuff. In fact, those of you who've watched the show, one of the things when I asked Anne to marry me, we never had our first date. We'd been around each other with other people, but I said, you don't need me and I don't need you. Well, she knew what I meant.
Yeah.
She wasn't needy and I wasn't needy. There are 8 billion people in the world today. There are 2 things I want to read real quick, Jim.
Sure. Go right ahead, sir.
One is going back to Les Brown and the graveyard.
Oh, yeah.
John Greenleaf Whittier was a writer from, you guys can research it, said, for all the sad words of tongue and pen, the saddest are these, it might have been.
Ooh.
It might have been. Jim said the richest people are the ones in the graveyard. You know what? I have to disagree with Les a little bit. The richest people are the people who recognize that what you have right in your hand, in your life, those are the richest people.
Oh, yeah.
You are the richest people when you recognize your own value. And the other thing I want to read, Jim, is this. And this ties back into to some of what we've been talking about. And it's the Serenity Prayer. You can look it up online, the Serenity Prayer. And that's, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can. And watch this, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah.
It's called the Serenity Prayer. You can look it up online. It's a powerful, powerful, powerful.
It's got a lot of truth. I mean, it is truth, no question about it. Because
centered, and balanced.
Yeah, because if you love yourself enough and you realize no matter what you do, you can't change that. You're just going to say, I love myself enough, I'm going to let it go.
Yep.
It's just like the weather. You can't change the weather. People complain about it, but they can't change it. So just let it go. You make adjustments in your life to where it does not destroy you. And I remember that a comment was made to me one time. We were over in Germany, and I was part of the complaining group. We were sleeping in tents with snow on the ground, January and February in Grafenwehr, Germany. So it was miserably cold. And this old sergeant said to us, young guys, we're all complaining, it's cold. Man, I'm, miserable. I didn't get much sleep last night. Blah, blah, blah. We were just a bunch of big overgrown babies. And he says, guys, we're all cold. None of us got enough sleep last night. But the one thing I've learned in life is don't make yourself more miserable than is absolutely necessary. So shut up. He did not put it quite in those words. He threw in a few extra words to let us know he was tired of us moaning and groaning and complaining. So you might say he gave us a mental adjustment in our attitudes.
Well,
but he was right.
That's serenity. Accept the things
Yeah.
that you can't change.
Yeah. And don't make yourself more miserable than is absolutely necessary. Because all you're going to do is hurt yourself. You're going to rob yourself of energy. And like we said before, it's time for us to close the show. But you young folks out there, remember one thing, please. And I don't care if you got gray hair on the roof of your head or whatever. You are worthy to be loved and appreciated.
Yes.
That's your universal right. No one can take that from you. And when it comes to being rich, like I like to say, growing up on a farm, we didn't know we were poor till we went to town. And that's true. I was just a farm boy. My dad grew cotton and corn. But what we were rich in, which I really appreciate now, and I'd love to go back and enjoy some of those wonderful times. We were rich in the things that money could not buy, nor could a thief ever steal. And to that I say, thank you, Lord. How blessed I am. Well, Emerson, our time is gone, brother.
Yes, it is.
And it's been a wonderful hour. Please share this show with others, especially some of the young folks out there that might be struggling with the big three: who I am, who I think I am, and who my friends and family think I am. The truth is, love yourself and be yourself. And be sure and go and visit. See The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale on YouTube. That will greatly bless you. That will greatly bless you. The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. You see it on the marquee there.
We don't get a dime if you do or don't.
Not at all.
Go check it out.
Yeah. Invest in yourself. Just close your eyes and listen to the words.
And let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think about it.
Oh, yeah.
Here's an email.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Let us know what it meant to you.
Amen. Amen. And we're going to be back tomorrow. We're hoping Mr. Mike Lewis, he's been under the weather for a couple of weeks, is going to join us on Ideas Worth Knowing. If not, Mr. Emerson Brantley would be quarterback and I'll be playing wide receiver. Oh, we have fun here.
It's been a show, Jim.
Yeah, it's been a great show. And tomorrow we're going to talk more about how you can get 10 free books.
Oh, yeah.
At no cost to you. So stay tuned. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
All right.